people to write? That's a very good question. It's, that is a good question. Okay, why do I write? Let's think about this. Well, I write. There's a lot of ways to answer that, right? So I'm just gonna sort of throw out stuff, whatever comes up. But for me, why I write is, I feel like, one, it's a part of me. Like I feel like it's part of who I am, and I need to get it out. The other reason why I write, I feel like, is I have something to say, and it might be just sharing stories about travel, right? Or it might be some great fictional story that has a message, great message, or it might just be not an amazing message, but something to provide somebody with some entertainment and some way to enjoy their time and not think about other things. The other thing for me is it is, and I know, Jackie, you're working on a blog about this, it is therapeutic. Like for me, I very much work through things through my writing, whether it be, I probably the first writing I ever did was journaling, and that helped me write through some of my thoughts and what was going on. But I think it just, it morphed into other things. And that's why it's interesting too, especially because I write in so many genres, that there are definitely like pieces of me in elements of some of the characters. Not all, but some of them. Like in Skipping Stones, my first published novel, one of the main character, she would hide into books. And that was sort of her escapism. And that was sort of me growing up. That's how I would do that, was read. But I was able to sort of showcase that in this fictional novel. But I think for me, I guess that's sort of it. Is I feel like it's therapeutic for me. It's also I have a story to say, and it's like these ideas are just there and they need to come out. And I like the idea of offering that entertainment or those stories to people. And I think that goes back to also why, and I think the other part of your question is, why do we encourage people to write? Is, for me, it's also about, I'm not the only one that has ideas and stories. Other people do too. And everybody has a different take on it. Even if it's like a similar story, it's still a different take and a different perspective. So everybody has a voice. Everybody has something to say. And I like the idea of encouraging people to say whatever they have to say, whatever it may be, So anyways, I think that's sort of why I write. It's, it's very personal. And funny, I was just right before this, I was on like I said, I was on the webinar, but I was doing two things at once. I was on the webinar and I was also on a Twitch stream of a musician, and she was saying, because she writes a lot of her own lyrics, and she was mentioning it, and she was talking about writing from the heart, and which is interesting because I really truly believe in writing from the heart as well, and it's why it's sort of a good answer. So I took notes. Yeah. But like writing from the heart, I feel like is really key, and that's why it's sort of hard with this one right now. I'm having problems with is it's not, I don't feel it. But it reminded me of a book that I read 2-3 years ago, maybe more than that. Actually, I pulled it out, called, I don't know if you guys can see this, Write from the Heart by Jeff Michaels. Jeff is a friend of mine, and he just wrote, it's a little short book. He wrote this, and it was, how do you write from the heart, but how, just sort of more of a discussion on it, right? And to help, encourage you to write from the heart. And so it was really well done, really, really good book. I liked it. And he's very much like that too, and he espouses that. He has some other great, amazing novels, but that one I really liked. But I agree with you, Jackie, that writing from the heart is key. I mean, it just is. And I think that's what I think is also part of it. It's hard to explain, right? But why we write, or why I write, is it's, like I said, it's part of who I am. And it's part of not just my heart, but like, my soul. So I feel like I need to do it. And it's just part of me, So it's an interesting, thing, because you want to have all of it come together. And then I think when good writing comes, it usually does come from the heart. And I do believe that, I agree with you. That it is key for sure. So Jackie, is that what you were working on today? Is how to asking yourself that question and answering it? Like a blog or just some thoughts? It's a good thing to write about. I actually think I have a blog I wrote about it. Why do I write? And I don't think I actually ever finished or published it. I think about it. I think I just did it for me. It is funny because sometimes you write things and it's just for you. And sometimes it becomes more, right? Like, for example, my second published novel, or not novel, but book, is basically it's a compilation of blogs of how to integrate project management and creativity. But that came out of really little short vignettes or short, blogs that I was writing about, and it became almost like a journal for me of how to integrate the two parts of who I am, very structured and very creative, and how do I bring the two together. And I ended up writing enough blogs that I was like, well, let me just throw it together and create an ebook out of it. And that's what I did. But it all started from really journaling and thinking about that concept. So yeah. Sorry, I actually closed the window and I'm back. No worries. I was just sort of asking you, what is that what you're writing on right now? Is the why do you write? And I mentioned I actually believe I wrote a blog about why I write a few years ago. I don't think I ever published it. Yeah, very cool. And I think, like I said, I didn't publish it, but I was saying that sometimes some writings never get published, and that's okay, and they're there for you. And some things do get published, and that's great, and people get to share in it, And one of the things I did get published was my Coloring Outside the Lines, integrating project management and creativity. And I basically, originally, it was like a journal for me. It was, a set of blogs of how to integrate, my structured and my creative self together. And it really was looking at it for me. And then I just got to a point where I was like, well, I can share it with people. I'm sure there's other people out there that have some similar dichotomy, like, they're two sides of themselves, and so you never know what's going to happen. But yeah, so I do enjoy writing. I do agree with you that it is the key to writing. It was when it comes from the heart, because it means more, and you can develop it, and and it just it flows better, and all that. So like I said, I think that's one of the reasons why this travel thing is interesting for me, because I don't feel like it's flowing as well. I feel like it's just going through the motions. And maybe I'm having a hard time or a difficult time because it's my memory, and I can still in my head capture that feeling. And then so yeah. So like I said, we'll see how the beta reader, how she, Sundance is being my beta reader, how she thinks about it, and we'll see. We don't always have an opportunity to give our heart a voice. Very, very good point. And it's true. And what's interesting is sometimes you don't even know what's going to come out of it. Like I said, I was doing that sort of exploration of project management and creativity. and I didn't know what was going to come out of it, and I didn't realize of how much of it I had to dive in and figure out how much of it was a part of who I was, and in the heart. So it's sort of in the soul, and it's that's one thing that's really cool about writing is it takes you to places that you're not always don't always know that you need to go, but it helps, right? And sometimes there's some amazing stories that come out of it, and even ones you wouldn't even think of. There's a few stories I have that I really would like to get to. Again, I have like 6 that are written, so I'm trying to focus on getting those edited first, and then finish my other story ideas. But one of my story ideas hasn't been written, like a few pages. Randomly, is on gargoyles. But it's like a love story in gargoyles, and it's total urban fantasy, and but it's like you never know where the creativity with the heart will take you, and I think that's what's one of the coolest things about writing. So that